welcome to the Oyster Clan. Should that be a thing? Do I like it? Not really, but we're going to roll with it for this video. That being said, I want to tell you guys the struggle that was recording this video. So basically, last night, I got this wave of motivation, and I set up this really cute background behind me. I set up my camera. I had the tripod all ready, perfectly set up. And then this morning, I woke up, I got dressed in a cute little outfit, I did my makeup. It's the first time I've gotten myself ready since quarantine started. And I felt really good, and I recorded this video at 10 a.m. And I went to edit it, and it kept glitching, just over and over and over again, getting really, really pixelated. I was like, that's kind of weird. So I looked up how to troubleshoot it, and YouTube just kept saying, update it. And I needed to update my editing software, so I did that. That took 2 hours. So during that time, I made food, I walked outside, just enjoyed my day, came back, and it was still glitching. So I was like, you know what? Scratch that footage. I don't really like it that much anyway. I'll record again. So I did, and the same thing happened, and I still could not figure it out. I'm so bad at computers. So 4 glasses of coffee later, I am here, I am recording on my computer, so if the sound is bad, if the image is bad, I'm sorry. I really am working on trying to get a video from my camera to my computer properly without issues. It might take a while, but hang in there with me. So that's not the point of today's video. The point of today's video is actually to talk about some of the highlights and lowlights of my time working in the customer service industry, because I got a new job and I start next week and I'm so excited. So I thought it would just be kind of interesting to tell some of these stories. And just by the way, quick disclaimer, I am not going to name drop any of the companies or businesses I've worked at. The point of this video isn't to slander anyone, and what's even the point of that? It's just pure entertainment. Mistakes that were made were completely my fault, and just me being a living flop. So, that being said, let's get into it. So, my first job was at a movie theater, and I left this job after 3 weeks. Now, I wanted to work at a movie theater because there is nothing I loved more than going to the movies on the weekend. I love the popcorn, I love the soda, I love movies, it's my major. So, I thought it would be a perfect fit. However, I was not trained properly on this job, and I just was flat out not great at it. I hated it, putting it lightly. So, one of the particular situations that really gets to me is on my second day working. It was a really, really sunny day, so not a lot of people were coming into the theater to begin with, but they stuck me behind the counter, and they all stood in a circle across the theater and just talked to each other, and I was brand new. At the end of that shift, as I was clocking out, I was told I was $20 off in the cash register. How does that even happen? And I'm so upset that I just did not speak up and say, please help, please. I really should have, but I didn't, and now we're here. A second situation that really, really kind of got to me, a little bit more funny, was during something called theater checks. So basically, part of the job was going into every single theater and taking your flashlight, making sure that the screen is working properly or that none of the audience members are on their cell phones or anything disruptive. And I loved doing theater checks because I got to see little snippets of the movies and I got to work independently, which I love. I've come to realize that I work so much better when I'm not, in front of a huge group of people. So, this fateful night, I had taken the flashlight and I went into this one theater that was playing a movie that starred The Rock Johnson. And this movie had been out for a month, and ticket sales were kind of dwindling, so I figured no one would be in this theater. So I shined the flashlight, and it kind of looked like no one was in there. However, when I shined the flashlight toward the back of the theater, there was a couple there, bumping uglies. And it was traumatizing for every single person involved. I dropped the flashlight and booked it just out of the theater. And I could hear them laughing. My mind is forever scarred from that situation. And then that night, after I'd left and clocked out and everything, I went to my car, and in the car next to me, the same couple was there doing the same thing. And they saw me and they laughed again. And it was awful. Never want to go back there. So yeah, I only lasted 3 weeks in that job, and as much as it was awful, it was kind of interesting. Like, I don't regret working there. I knew that it wasn't right for me. But definitely not the right environment. So then I got a job at a family-owned restaurant, and we were regulars at this restaurant, and we still are. So I got hired pretty fast, and I was going to be a hostess. And this job kind of entailed bussing the tables, making sure seating went properly, and I loved it. We were right on a lake, so it was gorgeous. I got to watch the fireworks on the 4th of July with all the staff, not my staff, the employee friends, coworkers, that's the word. And it was just a great, happier environment. However, there were some downsides. So there were basically 2 entrances, and I had to work both of them by myself. So there's the inside entrance, and there was the outside entrance on the deck. And there was a sign that said, please, go to be seated inside, but no one ever paid attention to it. So we just kind of gave up on trying to herd people inside. So anyway, there were a couple incidents at this job. There was one that I still hate thinking about. So when I was bussing the tables, I would pick the cups up and just put them in my arms and hold them like this. Because I knew the second someone gave me a tray, I would drop the drinks everywhere. And guess what happened? So it was a couple weeks into this job, and I was holding the tray, doing the best I could, and I trip over my own feet most of the time. So when there was a dent in the carpet, of course, what do but throw the tray? Completely faceplant. The drinks go everywhere. They douse this old couple head to toe in water. I'm glad it was just water. But luckily, I did not get in trouble for this. I got a stern talking to, but I hate thinking about it. It makes me die inside. So the second situation was a little bit worse than this because it was not my one and only, but one of my only really bad customer experiences. So, like I said, there were 2 entrances, and this was a particularly busy day. So I went outside to deal with the line of people that were coming in, and this lady and her husband, who was in a wheelchair, came up to me. And she said, how long is the wait for the deck? And I told her, I'm so sorry, it's going to be about an hour and a half, but I can seat you inside if you want, and it's air conditioned, and I can sit you right now. She said, no, what about down there? And she pointed to a patio area. In this patio area, I can see where she was coming from. There were tables set up, but it was only used as a cocktail area because we didn't have the licensing yet to serve food down there. It was a very new restaurant. I think when I started working there, it was only 2 years old. So I told her this. I, explained, I'm so sorry. I would 100% seat you down there, but we don't have the proper licensing. And she said to me, yeah, but there's no one sitting down there. And I said, yes, I understand this, but it is because we cannot sit anyone down there. So I apologized to her, and she went away with her husband. And then I had a bunch of people lining up inside. So I went to go deal with everyone in there, and I just kind of put my head down and had no issues. Then all of a sudden, I have this lady in my face, and she's screaming at me. She's like, I cannot believe that you don't make this exception to sit us down there. My husband's in a wheelchair. Like, you're being so disrespectful. And I start bawling. I hate confrontation. So I explained to her, like, I have nothing against, your husband who's in a wheelchair. We're trying to accommodate you guys as fast as possible. However, I can't make any exceptions to this rule. I've been trained not to. She said, I'm going to speak to your manager. Luckily, my manager did come out and tell her the exact same thing I told her, which made my heart happy. I was so scared I was going to get in trouble for that. But she told me, she turns around and she goes, I'm going to give you the worst Yelp review possible. Okay, Karen. She did. It hurt my feelings. So she leaves, and I carry on with my shift. And then the next day, I do look on Yelp, and there is a very, very nasty review. And in this review, she called me Little Miss Hostess. And so now, all of my friends call me Little Miss Hostess as a group, and it gets to me. But yeah, other than that, this job was lovely. I spent the whole summer there. I would have gone back, but I think, it definitely expanded, and I realized that I, again, didn't like working with huge groups of people. So, maybe sometime in the future. But I got a job at another diner that I was a regular at. My best friend and I used to go there every single day after class in high school. So it was, again, pretty easy to get hired, and I got hired. Same job, I was being a hostess. And this job, there were a couple blunders because I had to do takeout orders. And I was not good at them. I know that I messed up a couple people's orders. But overall, great job. I loved it. The one really, really awful experience I had in this job was one day I came into work, and it was early July, and my boss brought his two daughters in, and they were 3 and 5 years old. I love kids, don't get me wrong, but he asked me to babysit them and be a hostess at the same time. He wasn't going to pay me anything more. He just wanted me to babysit his girls, and of course, what do the girls want to do but help and play? So I'm trying to make these orders, and they're answering the phone, and it was just this big mess. And at the time, I look back and I wish I had just said no, or told him that this isn't in my job description, but I wanted to avoid confrontation. So I guess that's the moral of this video, is that if you're ever put in a situation, whether it's with your job or in general, just explain yourself, say no, or explain why you're uncomfortable. If I had told the people at the movie theater that you haven't trained me properly, or just told my boss that I'm not gonna babysit his children, I probably would have saved myself a lot of pain. But they do make for funny stories, so just stand up for yourself, kids. That being said, I am off. If you guys want to see a part 2 of this, I definitely have a ton more stories. You guys know the service industry can get crazy. And I'll keep you posted on my new job. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.